Roadhouse paid?
They paid $2.13 an hour.
Okay, and then they'll match to minimum if you don't make that in tips, right?
Yes.
Hey, Scopia. Back with another video, y'all. Hope everyone out there's having a good day. Boy, it's been a busy morning for me. Got the doggy door installed. We'll get into that at the end of the video. But before we get started, y'all, I'm gonna start posting reels on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm gonna start posting more of what let you guys see more into my life on Instagram. So the links to my Facebook, my Instagram are down below, and also my Rumble. This video right here is gonna be uploaded to Rumble. So make sure you guys go over there. I'm trying to get to 100 followers over there. We're halfway there. So go follow me on Rumble and follow me on all my other social medias, y'all. I'm gonna start getting active over there so you guys can take a step into Segovia's life if you want. But I ain't gonna chit chat too much. We'll save it for the end of the video. Enough with the chit chat. Let's do what we all came here for. Let's get into the video. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Massive blackouts have occurred in Spain and Portugal, with thousands and thousands without power. People got stuck in elevators. We know that internet went down. So the government has reached out to the operator of the grid, Red Electronica, and asked what happened here. And they said, well, we don't really know. We don't need people to speculate at this time, but it's going to take anywhere between 6 and 10 hours for the power to go back up online. Some flights in and out have been delayed because of the power outages. They do say, though, that the airport's on its own power grid, so that should be good to go. But they are telling people, the safety boards of the governments, don't go out and drive. Because these signals are down, it's very hard to get around. It's actually making things worse if you get in your car and you have to go somewhere. So stay home for the time being. Those looking to take any kind of trains in Spain, well, the railways are down. They are electric, so without any power, those trains are going nowhere. I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on this, so please do share my videos and follow me for more.
People better start paying attention and really see what's going on. You see, they've been talking about blackouts for a while now, probably for like a whole year. They like, I feel that a blackout's going to come. People need to be prepared. And now you see in different countries get hit with blackouts. If the entire world blacked out, you got 72 hours before the whole society collapses. I'm talking about no phones, no bank, no internet, no food, no water, nothing. Money's worthless. Stores gonna be shut down, not working. Hospitals gone. Everything you know that you thought you can do when you had power, you're not gonna be able to do it. And people is not prepared for that. And I don't know why. They've been dropping hints like they know something is coming. And this is probably just the start of it. Today, Spain, France, Portugal, they all got a little taste of what it felt like with blackouts. Airport stopped, so it's no flying. Trains were stuck on the tracks. Hospitals were scrambling to get the backup generator starting because you know people in the hospital, their life depends on having that electricity to work because some people is on oxygen and all that. And I would hope people know how to get around the area they're in, because when that happened, the GPS was gone. You better have a compass. 1 million people were cut off with no warning, no backup plan. And the craziest part, y'all, it didn't just stop there. It went to Morocco too. But all I'm saying, y'all, is the grid is not invincible. People better wake up and prepare.
Okay, absolutely insane breaking news. Multiple countries in Europe are currently dealing with major nationwide power outages. So the worst affected seems to be Portugal and Spain, and multiple cities in those two countries like Madrid and Lisbon. Traffic lights have turned off, trains have gone dark, shops and restaurants, they've lost power. The Madrid Open, that's had to be suspended because the power cut mid-play. The Spanish railway operators, they said that the entire grid just cut. And so there's these videos of people walking in these dark tunnels like, what the hell is going on? So this obviously has caused major chaos, but mostly confusion as well, because as of right now, like recording, no one really knows what is going on. And it's crazy because this is nationwide and multiple countries as well. And there's still no idea. The Spanish government were the first to comment, and they said that they are holding an emergency meeting to determine the cause. There are also some reports of parts of France being affected, and also Belgium as well. And people are also reporting that cell service went down, like Wi-Fi and like things like WhatsApp messages. They weren't even going through. Oh, and how's this one for ironic? They've had to go back to cash. Long queues have started forming at ATMs because card payments and contactless payments, they're also down. And this is literally within an hour I'm recording this of when it's all going off. So how quickly things can deteriorate without power. Insane. As soon as we figure out what the cause is, I'll make an update. See you then.
So I'm sure most have heard about the Portugal and Spain blackout. Like shit tons of people have lost power in those two nations. And initially they thought it may have been a cyber attack. I was thinking maybe it was a coronal mass ejection from the sun that can cause power outages, so decided to look into it. Have you heard what they're saying now? This is interesting. I don't know what the fuck to make of this. So the latest reports are now that a rare atmospheric phenomenon involving extreme temperature variations in the interior of Spain has been identified as a key factor. Extreme temperature variations in the interior of Spain. Portuguese grid operator REN has stated that these temperature variations have caused an anomalous oscillation in high voltage lines, disrupting the electrical system and leading to cascading disconnections and failures. Extreme temperature variations causing anomalous oscillations in high voltage lines. I'm sorry, this sounds shady as fuck. Like there's something else going on. No idea what. I don't dare even assume what the fuck this could be. Fucking drones, aliens, electromagnetic fucking problems with the earth and stuff. Who fucking knows? But it's looking interesting. Maybe it's part of the shift. So I just wanted to share because I find that fascinating. So, all right, thanks.
Bystander video shows the dramatic moment an 8,000 horsepower speedboat flipped through the air several times before splashing back down. Footage from inside the cockpit clocked the boat's top speed at around 210 miles per hour, right before it went airborne. A Freedom 1 racing team member says the two drivers of the boat suffered non-life-threatening injuries and were taken to the hospital for evaluation. The team later posted to its Facebook page that everyone is safe and in good condition. Freedom 1 Racing aimed to break a speed record during a 3-mile quarter course in Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
They survived that. That's crazy.
The underground base and city infrastructure and transportation system that's been built. And
I'm sorry?
yes, so we have built an extraordinary number of underground bases and supposedly transportation systems. Some of these are documented as part of the national security infrastructure. I think there are many more.
In the United States?
In the United States, and all over the world. From 2021 to 2023, I took one of the smartest subscribers in the Slayer Report network, and he and I spent 2 years collecting all the data and all the allegations on underground bases. We systematically went through and tried to estimate our guess, this is totally a guess, of how many underground bases, both underground in the United States but also underground under the ocean around the United States. And our estimate was 170 with the transportation network connecting them.
And what would be the purpose?
If you thought you were going to get a near extinction event,
Yeah. I'm not what about the whole 10 acres and a mule thing, though? Yeah. Okay. What about that? If you get niggas 10 acres and a mule, who go work they 10 acres? Niggas go sell they 10 acres. So who? Yeah. The weed man, the dope man, who go work the land? So if you give black people 40 acres and a mule, a John Deere tractor, and some seeds, they go cash it in for the money. So why would you get that to them? And by the way, when the Jews got their reparations, they didn't get money, they got a credit line. So scientists...
I don't know who said it, but somebody said they can spread all the money in the world out evenly, right, to all the citizens. Let's just say, don't quote me, don't take this for granted, you know what I mean? Don't take this with a grain of salt. $1 million spread out to everybody in the world, right? I know it'll be more, but whatever. I'm just saying. that the money will end up over time back in the top 5 people, top 5%, top 1% people's pockets, because we're just going to go buy cars, we're going to go buy bigger houses, we're going to go buy crazy stuff on Amazon, Louis Vuitton. That's what most people will do. If they spread that money out, it'll just end up in the same people's hands.
A new color, and it's called OLO. So I didn't know why they named it that until I actually looked at it. OLO, COLOR. So it's kind of in the middle of color. Yeah, you get it. Anyways, the human eye cannot see it just straight up. It has to go through like some conditioning before even being able to see it. So let's do that. I'm going to show you what this color OLO actually looks like. So there's actually a way to trick your eyes into being able to see OLO without all the fancy equipment, because originally you need a very specific filter and some like cosmic radiation basically in order to see it. So here we're going to use this magenta behind me to actually trick the cones of your eyes in order to see OLO in that original turquoise image. So I'm going to need you to pause the video. I'm going to need you to look at this magenta for about 60 seconds. And then I need you to look at that turquoise image, and that is what OLO actually looks like. Now, since you stared at the magenta for 60 seconds, you've actually tricked the cones in your eyes to seeing a different green here, which is actually the OLO, which is that new color that scientists invented. So I'd like to hear in the comments below if this ended up working for you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
They took him off, and they took him off because the owner said take him off. I don't want that guy. Shedeur Sanders just torpedoed himself. His attitude off the field at the combine, his dad didn't help him either. He was on podcast talking about, this is my son. If I can get him to where I want to get him to, I'm going to do that. But, when you listen to this kid talk right prior or at the combine about if you want a new culture in your locker room, I'm the guy to do that. I can turn it around. I mean, he's very high on himself. And I think he was very off-putting to many, many coaches and general managers in the league. And I'm telling you right now, and I know this after talking to 3 different personnel people in the NFL this weekend, they didn't even have him on their board.
Now, a lot of people, which gets really weird, when you see like celebrities of 2025, they look like people of the past. And they showed this even with Alex Jones. It was like a new Alex Jones and then the old Alex Jones.
Nicolas Cage. There's quite a few Nicolas Cage doppelgangers.
Yes. So all of these different people, they look like they have clones. So it makes you wonder. But what I did find, which was interesting with the cloning, when a egg is at a certain point, it can be split and then it can produce a twin. And so then I started thinking, well, we think of clones because that's what we're taught, like the whole thing what they talk about. But then I started to think about, what about twins? What about when you have like, I don't know, triplets or something like that? And that was the only information I could find on potential cloning, and that the people are being cloned or whatever it is and then multiplying XYZ out. But I couldn't find much, because when I started going into the DNA and the gene and that whole thing, because that's the PCR test, then nothing added up. So it's one that we should ask questions about, of why children are on display at a marketplace, like almost for sale for people, and then at these world fairs, they're on display too. Like, nobody puts children on display to show them unless it's a marketplace for something like that.
Did I hear you say that you get free French fries when you get vaccinated? I got vaccinated. And wait, you're telling me there's another element to this surprise? A free cheeseburger every time you get vaccinated, along with face paralysis. We want to thank everybody down at the Super Shack for the free food. Get vaccinated, okay? Do it. Do it.
Justin Bieber. So what is your
longer clip, y'all.
I mean, it looks like the kind of thing that they're doing every time someone threatens them, or someone that is very powerful or important or influential tries to get away from them. And in some ways, I think that the Justin one is almost more targeted, because he's not going after the whole industry. It really feels like this one is kind of Scooter specifically taking personal offense to what's going on here, and Scooter kind of got trapped in the middle of this deal with Hybe.
Discuss a bit about the deal with Hybe.
So Scooter was hemorrhaging his clients. Scooter's very well known in the industry for not being, shall we say, the nicest guy to work with or for. Over and over, artists throughout his career have left him and said that he's great until he doesn't need you anymore, and then you're discarded. And he had lost all of his artists, including like Ariana Grande, for example, the Taylor Swift drama. And Justin was like his last big name. And he sold his whole business, Ithaca Holdings, to Hybe, which is the K-pop company, which is very like the Korean mafia of music. So it kind of feels, from my perspective, that I'm assuming that Scooter kind of saw the writing on the wall and was trying to move out of this position of managing talent because no more talent was with him and into this executive role. And he managed that, and he sold what he had for $1 billion to Hive. And this company, Ithaca Holdings, was like making less than 200 million a year in revenue, I believe. So it's like they're selling it at this crazy high valuation. And presumably that's because it includes the future perpetual rights to Justin Bieber and his brand, right?
Okay, I didn't even look at this.
And so, yeah, so this Hive sale, this Hive deal is critical because it happens before the Justice World Tour. Justin then goes on this crazy more than a year-long world tour where he happens to get COVID at the start of it, and then he happens to get an injury that looks an awful lot like a vaccine injury.
His wife also had the she had a brain clot.
Exactly. And he winds up with half his face paralyzed, can't continue. Apparently the tour was booked out on advances, which is not uncommon for the industry as far as I'm aware, but it's such a big tour. We're talking hundreds of millions, at least tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars advanced. And so when he's partway through this tour and then can't continue, suddenly there's a whole bunch of debt that's been incurred that's not getting paid back. And obviously then Justin goes to his management and is like, so we have insurance, right? This is no problem. We have insurance for this kind of a thing. And allegedly what then was told to him is that, no, you broke your contract. So there is no insurance payout here. You actually have to cover this debt. And so Justin's management, whether it was Scooter technically at the helm of this or his other managers that were at the helm of this, that management team managed him in such a way that the most popular pop star, like one of the most popular pop stars in the world, got saddled with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of debt on a tour that they had mismanaged, and that he had all of these things reflect on the management and how poor their management style is, and are things that if Scooter was really a good manager, this would never happen to your artist, because he's supposed to work for the artist. He's supposed to be like the #1 manager in the industry. So that all happens in the middle, and Justin is trying to get out, and Scooter's on the hook for $1 billion worth of value. Like, he's promised $1 billion worth of Justin Bieber's future to this Korean company, which he's now on the board of. And so I feel like Scooter's in the lurch, because suddenly Scooter can't deliver on this $1 billion promise that he's made, and Justin's trying to escape from that promise because he hates them all, and they're still trying to control him through his other company. And so it feels to me like everyone is sort of trapped in bad ideas that are sort of leveraged to the hilt in terms of how much money is involved and how many promises are involved, and it all revolves around Justin continuing to produce music, which, like, anyone who's had a kid or a creative in their life knows that no creative dude like Justin is going to be producing hit singles if he hates you and you're trying to control his whole life. And so it feels like we're seeing not only these smear campaigns to try to get him back in line coming from Scooter, but it also feels like we're seeing Justin kind of acting out because he has no power. He's in secret litigation. They won't let him open a new clothing company. They won't let him, like, profess his, faith in God, or they're slandering that. So it's messy in every direction.
Yeah. It's really interesting because it also makes you just revisit everybody in the past that has kind of gone through a similar thing, a similar cycle.
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
Every LeBron, it's kind of crazy that Bill Belichick, how old is he? He's older than Shannon Sharp. He's older than her, right? And he's talking to, I don't know how old she is, but she ain't over 25, right? Bill Belichick's got to be pushing 65, 70. Like, why doesn't nobody make a big deal about that? How she's controlling and saying, like, he ain't gonna talk about that. Like, talking to a grown man that's 70 and she's like 25. Like, that's crazy, right? I don't know, a little double standard maybe.
That you show me, what I'm going to do is walk you into that stadium and I'm going to tell you LeBron James has pennies in comparison to the person who owns the plastics company that makes the chairs in the stadium. He has pennies in comparison to the person who is the metal worker that owns the metal that was used to build the stadium. Your cousin can have $1 million t-shirt company. They don't have a dime on the person who owns the cotton.
Hey, get on this. I've just gone to the shop on a Sunday night, as you do, and I've just heard two people talking about the maddest shit you've ever seen, and then it gets even stranger. Allegedly, people in LA are having mermaid parties and it's come out in the last few hours, but they're not what you think they are actually talking about. Can't believe I'm going to say eating mermaids, and I've just done a tiny bit of research and it's going around like wildfire all over the internet. They must have heard the same news as well, but the food's that good. The people in LA, celebrities, the 1%ers, be fucking eating mermaids. Now, first of all, mermaids aren't even real. But if they were real, who's gonna fucking eat a mermaid? I'd rather have what they're fucking eating there. I've done the research. They were talking about it in the shop. Have you heard about this? Because I feel like I've just woke up in a weird sort of dream. I've come to get myself some sweets before the diet starts. Random stuff. I've researched it after them speaking, and they're telling me people are eating mermaids allegedly in America, and someone's come out and said it's happening on all the A-lister parties. What the fuck?
I don't know if Justin is new around here, but the music industry, well, let's just say the music industry is all about worshiping the devil. And if you want to worship the devil, you can have multi-million-dollar deals. You can sell out arenas. You can be managed by the biggest talent managers. But if you want to worship Jesus, yeah, that's going to be a hard no and a smear campaign. And it's just, a little weird that every creative person, a type of people famous for thinking for themselves, that they all have the exact same political beliefs, that they all parrot the exact same scripts, and anyone that steps outside of that script gets the same treatment. But apparently, when Jason didn't get the $1 million loan, he turned on them. And suddenly you wind up with all these hit pieces where Jason is smearing Justin and saying things about Justin that aren't true, because those rumors overlap directly with a coordinated, highly sophisticated smear campaign orchestrated by deep power players inside the music industry. The FBI actually came and snooped around a whole bunch and investigated Justin relative to Diddy, and they found nothing and left. And let's just say that Justin is too small and too white to be Diddy's type. He talked the talk. I care about Kanye. I would never take advantage, because he used to manage Kanye, a former associate said. But Scooter's most important client has always been Scooter. Like, who cares if Justin Bieber's getting smeared? Who cares what music Justin's going to make? Who cares if he's addicted to drugs or his marriage is going to fail? It's just a bunch of celebrity gossip. These are the forces that shape America. These are the forces that shape culture all around the world. And music and movies and celebrities hold immense power to influence particularly young people. But it's bigger than rap, and it's bigger than hip hop. It's also pop, it's also country, it's also electronic music, it's music festivals, it's concerts, it's the Grammys, it's Satan on the stage, Sam Smith. Anyone who's followed the Bieber story up till now is seeing a glaring hole in the reporting so far. The reporting by Candace, the reporting by Brett, and the reporting by myself up till now. There's a hole in it all. And now there's a whole new dark trend in the rap world. And there's a whole other layer to what's going on there.
Conspiracy theories are dangerous. Information is the oxygen of a democracy.
With Republicans, with progressives, with libertarians, because this is not about right and left, this is about right and wrong.
It's so sacred we can't talk. Our security is at stake.
The UK government has just announced that they will be approving a multi-million-pound geoengineering experiment to dim the sun. Is it not dim enough already? So the British government's Advanced Research and Invention Agency, ARIA, is about to drop £50 million into experiments that aim to reflect more sunshine back into space in order to slow the effects of global warming. Now, to do this, one idea is to inject aerosols like sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere so that the tiny particles reflect the sunlight. Another idea is to brighten clouds over the ocean by using ships to spray sea salt into the air to enlarge them. And a third idea is to seed certain types of clouds to allow more of Earth's heat to escape into space. Now, I don't need to tell you guys that trying to artificially alter the climate is highly controversial. However, the lead scientist said that these experiments are on a very small scale, no toxic substances will be released, and that they have strong requirements about the reversibility of effects, if any. They're likening it to when a big volcano erupts. They often blast tiny particles into the stratosphere that blocks some sunlight, and in some cases it actually cools the planet slightly for a year or two. What they're trying to do is somewhat imitate this, but in a controlled way. However, no matter how careful they are, it is not without risks or uncertainties. In fact, in January 2022, over 60 academics published an open letter calling for a ban on developing or deploying solar geoengineering. So the question is, are we at a point with climate change where drastic measures like this need to be taken, or should this be stopped immediately?
I just found the feather. Can somebody do me a favor and tell me what that feather is doing there? This is the feather right here. Hold on, let's clean it up. So I don't know if we know for sure what kind of feather this is. I think it might be an owl feather. I don't know. You really trying to tell me that you just have a feather on your leg? Do you think you'd be able to give me a logical explanation for why that feather would be there? My name's Nightfall, by the way. I do this for educational and entertainment purposes only. I already pointed out all the obvious stuff in videos from the past couple days. But do you think you'd be wearing little gold necklaces like that if you were going to space for the first time? Do you think they'd even allow you to do that? They would never allow that. And what's going on with the stuffed animal? What's going on with that? Who even brings a stuffed animal to space? What is that? What's happening right here? Do you actually think if you're going to space, you're bringing little toys, whatever that is? What is that? I'm gonna decode all of this stuff, but what is that? Do you bring that to space? You haven't heard how they already blew it because of that anyway? They tried to open the door too early. It's literally over. They lost. They just blew it for everybody. You can't even do construction without helmets, boots, and gloves. Unacceptable. They all would have been sent home that day. No pay. You can't even get on a job site.
Did you know that this? And also, how do they have HD cameras on the inside, but they can't give us a HD photo of the outside? And if it is, it's AI, right? What's up with that? I want to see some HD pictures of some UFOs, of space. I want to see something like that because they got HD photos of Katy Perry holding a damn feather up there with necklaces on and headphones and all that.
Is actually a natural air filter.
My
pretty
favorite
much
plant.
Like this thing. This is a snake plant. It's been studied by NASA and found to remove many volatile organic compounds from the air, just like this: benzene, formaldehyde, toluene, nitrogen dioxide, products of cooking, all sorts of volatile organic compounds that accumulate indoors in your homes. This is also a type of plant called a cam plant that releases extra oxygen during the nighttime. So it's a great one to have in your bedroom. Having one of these for every 200 square feet in your house or in your bedroom can significantly help to purify the air where you are sleeping. Let me show you two more awesome plants as well to help purify the air in your home. This is aloe vera. This is a Boston fern. Both of these are also very good at reducing VOCs like toluene, benzene, nitrogen dioxide in your house. These are probably better for the kitchen where there's more light. And there are even more plants than this, like spider plants, English ivy, and others that do the same thing. So having plants like this in your house does more than just make you feel good. We know these plants decrease sympathetic nervous system activation. They help calm our nervous system, but they actually purify the air in your home. Send this to somebody you know who needs more plants like this in their home to purify the indoor air.
And also with that snake plant, for all you people out there that say you don't got a green thumb, you rarely have to water that thing, right? You can go a month without putting no water in there. I got plants. I got some pothos. I got some lilies. I got a snake plant. I don't know what the other one is I got, but I water that snake plant. I just watered it today, but just a tiny bit. Don't put too much water in there. Just a little bit for that snake plant. It's and same with the aloe vera, right? They're succulents. They don't need much water.
Massive wind in front of the sun this morning, and of course, like usual, they're trying to hide it. And this whole thing made people look farther into all of their scans, and they find a whole bunch of footage where they're just straight up turning it off when weird things start happening. It is actually ridiculous because while this stuff was going on, the Schumann frequency at the same exact time was going insane. I mean, it's crazy. We have these solar flares and we have these auroras going crazy where no one ever sees them while these weird planetary bodies are just flying around the sky. And before the simple-minded try to tell me it's a lunar eclipse, yeah, there is no lunar eclipse or partial lunar eclipse this April, and not until September, actually. I mean, beside that, do y'all really think that the moon's what's causing the sun and vice versa to eclipse? This was the sky map at the exact time it happened, and of course, the sun is nowhere near the moon, like it was on April 28th, and y'all can see how fast the thing was moving. And apparently, when crazy things are going on, they are always cutting the feed on these certain cameras, just gone. People are gonna find out at some point there is way more than just the sun and the moon in the sky. You see the sun over here, but you got that thing right in the sky. They call them the blue and the red Kachina. See, 2 lens flares. And I almost wonder if these Kachinas are the nodes that people speak of, making them blank out their own equipment. At some point, we gotta realize that everything they have told us and showed us is a complete lie, and we have no idea how things really work.
Ryan is a nasty piece of work. You know who tried to warn us? Martha Stewart. She was on some random game show and she was like, I know everybody thinks he's funny, but he lives in my building and he's really not. And she heavily implied that he was like not a nice guy.
Something, he's not so funny in real life. Really? No, he's not so funny. He's very serious.
And everyone's looking at that now being like, Martha Stewart knew that Ryan Reynolds was insane and actually like a mean person. It is one of the most evil Hollywood plots between a couple with a tremendous amount of power, being Blake and Ryan, who were just going to like take over and destroy a man's entire life because they wanted to put her name on a movie.
Candace Owens has publicly criticized Ryan Reynolds, describing him as not a nice guy and attributing a central role to him in the legal disputes involving his wife, Blake Lively, and director Justin Baldoni. Baldoni has filed a $400 million lawsuit against Lively, Reynolds, and their publicist, alleging defamation and extortion. He claims they attempted to destroy his reputation through a coordinated smear campaign. While Owens has made strong statements about Reynolds' involvement, it's important to note that these are her opinions and interpretations. The legal proceedings are ongoing, and no court has made a final determination on these matters.
It's video from like, who wants to be in Hollywood? Who wants to be famous? Who wants to be a famous rock star, famous movie star, famous rap star? Like, if you don't follow the script, you're blacklisted. Like, you're kicked out. You're told you're crazy. You're offed. Like, who wants that? Like, some people are just so like, there's a dude on ESPN. It's not Sam Ocho, it's his brother, one of the Ocho brothers, right? And I remember Marcellus Wiley was saying he used to be on the show with him, and he was just saying like he had to get away from it because this guy, he even told him like, I will do whatever it takes to become famous. Like, I'll do whatever. I'll cut you off. I'll backstab you. I'll do whatever it takes. I just want to be famous. So I don't like that dude. There's something about him. After hearing that, I don't like seeing his content. I don't watch TVs, so I don't see a show on ESPN, but you know, they do YouTube shorts or, you know, TikToks and stuff about sports and whatnot. But like, there's just some people out there, y'all, that they will do whatever it takes to be famous and be in that limelight, which is crazy, y'all. It's crazy. That's some form of mental illness right there.
Just shocked the whole internet. On it, we see a local fisherman being dragged into the water by strange creatures, and only with the help of fire he managed to fight back. This fisherman later gave an interview where he told a lot of interesting things. He claims that these creatures resembled the legendary mermaids, only their faces were much scarier than we are used to. But the most curious thing is that just a year ago, locals in this area found a giant strange tail resembling the tail of a mermaid. And what scared us the most was its size. And recently, a group of divers decided to investigate the area further. And at first they didn't find anything until they came up with the perfect idea of attaching a GoPro to a shark's fin. And then began the strangest thing. Literally a couple of hours after the start of filming on the camera, caught a 3-meter creature that resembled a mermaid. And later their research team decided to dive there in a bathyscaphe, until at one moment, they hit the glass with a strange hand with webbing between the fingers, which terrified the whole team, and they decided to stop all research. What do you think they encountered in the deep ocean?
How much is rent where you live? Because apparently the average rent price in America is $2,000.
Why does the Catholic Church need a pope?
Because Christ said we should have one. Why do we have a pope? Well, one way to put it is that we have a point of contact that transcends our own historical circumstances, that takes us back to Christ. And the primary testimony of the Pope is to the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. It's the central proclamation that you hear in the Acts of the Apostles that Peter announces. But that message and that office that was associated with that person who was associated directly with Christ is what the papacy is all about.
Part 3 on why Israel is America's greatest ally. In 1967, the USS Liberty was attacked ruthlessly. The ship was bombarded from all directions, sea and air. 34 Americans were killed, and over 100 were injured. What did Israel do to support their greatest ally? Oh, turns out they were the ones who attacked the ship. So wait, Israel were the culprits of that heinous crime and suffered no repercussions? Not just that, but they still remain America's greatest ally. Really makes you wonder who runs the world. Leave a like and follow if you'd like to discover some more historic facts.
And you'll tip me $0, then $3 of that will come out of my money.
How does Texas Roadhouse pay you?
They pay us $2.13 an hour.
Okay, and then they'll match to minimum if you don't make that in tips, right?
Yes. That really happens though. So we make minimum wage if we were to make that.
If you didn't get tips to cover from that to minimum.
Yes.
So then how does tipping out work? So a lot of people don't know this.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we take 3% of our sales, and that's split amongst the bussers and the hosts. So if the table tips you and doesn't do anything at all, then that'll come out of our personal money. Does that make sense?
So if it was like the whole night was like $1,000 worth of food sold, you have to pay 3% of that out of your tips.
Yes. Honestly, all restaurants are like
And
that. So technically, say y'all's chow was like $100, and you'll tip me $0, then $3 of that would come out of my money.
So if we don't, so we shouldn't tip you anything.
I mean, I would pay to serve y'all, but I mean, y'all were fun, so it would be okay. Thank you so much. Thank y'all.
So this is groundbreaking news that I have no idea why nobody's reporting on it. Why is nobody talking about all of the Europe nationwide power outages that are happening right now? This is spanning across Spain. This is spanning across Portugal, southern parts of France. It is a complete blackout in those nations. And this is according to the latest news and breaking headlines. And the report said the outage, described by experts as absolutely exceptional, was triggered by a rare atmospheric phenomenon causing significant oscillations in high voltage power lines. This led to the disconnection of Spain's grid from the broader European network, resulting in widespread power failures across the Iberian Peninsula. Madrid, Barcelona, Seville, all experiencing complete blackouts. You have thousands of people at the train stations unable to go anywhere because those have completely gone down. They are even being forced to use cash because no electronic payments are accessible right now. Transportation systems, metro lines and trains, traffic lights, everything has stopped functioning. There are even reports that airports have been disrupted with flight delays and passengers being stranded. Portugal is even facing similar challenges. The Lisbon Metro and other train services have been suspended, and mobile networks are experiencing significant limitations. They are even saying that cell service is coming down. What could this phenomenon that happened in the atmosphere, that's what they're reporting, what was that? To affect over 4 huge nations in the East. That's all we know for now. As soon as I get an update, I'll make sure to update you guys.
White people with resources don't put their kids in public school. If LeBron would have went to public school, he would have never been LeBron James. That's why he went to a private Catholic school. If Kobe would have went to public school, he would have never been Kobe Bryant. That's why he went to a Catholic public school, private school. If you want to develop your child, you don't put your child in no public school. To go deal in an environment where all of these children who live below the poverty level, because in most public schools, predominantly kids get free lunch. That means your parents are poor. You're below the poverty level. That means you're either at or above or below. That means y'all don't have no money. And your mother had to prove this. That's why you get a free lunch. Why would you put your kid in this environment where the focus is all of these kids passing a test so the teacher can keep her job? It's not about teaching and developing your kids. Why would you put your kid in this unless you have to? Most people who want their kids to be something don't put them in public school system.
I said, David, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. I said, I already know the answers, but I've been gone for 5 years. I like to know if certain things are still the way they were when I left. I said, did they still take the master to the temple room? Dave said, yeah. I said, do they still have the coven conjure demons into the master? He said, of course. I said, now, I got to know something. What's the main reason for rock music? He says, the same as when you were in, so that we can play spells on people that we couldn't cast spells upon. The master is a tape about as big as the top of this podium that looks like an overgrown 8-track that the album is cut on and is placed in a machine that produces and presses the records and the 8-tracks and cassettes that you buy. After it's been recorded, it's taken in. This is why a master's cut months in advance before it's released. On the full moon, it's taken in to a temple room about the size of this auditorium that is in every one of the major music companies, behind locked doors up in the executive offices. And it's placed on an altar sitting in the north of the room and a pentagram engraved in the floor. And 13 hand-chosen witches and wizards and a coven come in and conjure a principality or a power up, usually Regia or something like that, and order him to tell the demons under him to follow every record and every tape.
Crazy. Yeah, I remember they handed out those kits. That wasn't too long ago. March.
I start teaching autistic children when I used to live in San Jose art. I meet this kid, Steven. He can't put a sentence together. Hi, Dave. Like, oh, hey, come on, let's paint today. Fearless. And we go outside on my deck and we look at the San Jose skyline. Photographic memory. Not to scale, like everything's off proportion. I go, okay, Steven, let's paint. He starts drawing buildings and like this, like not looking, just like some kind of weird mump. And I go, this guy that can't put a sentence together is a genius.
And this is in the next film I'm going to do. I'm going to try and tackle this question. That there are big realms, spiritual realms. There's good, there's evil, and they are slugging it out for the souls of mankind. And my question is, why are we even important? Little old flawed humanity, why are we important in that process where the big realms are slugging it out over us? And I think there's bigger things at play here. And institutions that purport to touch on the divine are necessarily going to be affected by that slugfest that's going on between good and evil.
Right. And sometimes good gives up ground.
Yeah, and maybe not on purpose.
So this story that you want to tell about good and evil, like, do you have a script, or is it just a thing in your head? What is it?
Yeah, it's the resurrection story.
Does America have a new serial killer on the loose? Well, that's the question that residents of New England are asking after 8 bodies were found in roughly 8 weeks, all within driving distance of each other. 5 of the bodies have not yet been identified, but the 3 that were all women, and include 35-year-old Paige Fannin, who was found in a Connecticut river, Denise Leary, who is missing since September 2024, and Michelle Romano, who is found in Rhode Island woods. One Facebook group dedicated to the New England serial killer surged over 65,000 members before having to be renamed, and Google searches for that phrase has spiked massively in early April. Even Jane Borowski weighed in, who is the survivor of the infamous Connecticut River Valley killer, saying that the body count is suspicious and warned women to stay alert. However, talk online grew so much that the police in all 3 states had to finally make a statement, and they all pretty much said the same thing. They say that there is no evidence of a serial killer, that there is no confirmed link between the cases, and that ultimately there is no active threat to the public. A forensic scientist named Peter Valentine said that some of the bodies may not even have visible trauma, and that speculating before autopsies have been complete doesn't help.
You said that I was stupid for paying $15,000 a month rent for a mansion in Calabasas.
I just
no. We're gonna dissect this. Okay. Because I didn't have all the facts in front of me. Okay. So you take a $4 million house. You put down 20%. That's $800,000.
If I take $800,000, why do I need a $4 million house? I could just take $800,000 and buy me a house. Maybe I can catch me a house in Sugarland, Texas, or somewhere for like
away from everything. I wasn't living in Sugarland, Texas.
If I go to Houston,
I was living in Calabasas.
Well,
where
if I go to Houston with that 800, oh, I'm gonna get a palace for that. What's the difference between a $5 million house and a $500,000 house?
Depends where you are. In LA, $500,000 will get you a shack.
But what would $500,000 get me in Houston? You spend all that money to live in LA to get robbed on Rodeo. All I'm saying is 15 grand a month is a lot.
That 15,000 for the first 10 years is almost no principal. You're basically paying rent to the bank. So why not just pay rent to a landlord?
But why we
not put 600,000 or 800,000 down, stack your money, invest it. That 800,000 could turn into 2 or 3 million, and you can buy it outright.
Why we not getting a house for 500,000 though?
How much is your house? The house you live in?
About $1 million.
So you're just finding out.
So he's saying he just wants the image, right? I just want to live in LA, like my business. You record interviews, right? People can go to Houston to do an interview. They don't all live in LA. They live in New York and in Houston and Atlanta, and they travel. You pay them to travel to you, right? But I mean, I agree with what the other dude's saying. You can get an $800,000 house and then stack your money, or a $500,000 house, right? You don't need a $15 million house, but some people do. It feeds their ego. I got a $15 million house in Calabasas. I live alone with my lady. I don't even think Vlad has any kids. He lives, you know what I mean? He's just got a 30-bedroom house for nothing, right? But he feeds his ego. He brags about it. So me, myself, I'd rather have 30 acres with a big old cabin to myself than a house in LA. But I don't really like the city. That's not my thing.
There's an edge to Las Vegas. This edge is actually called Mountain's Edge, which you see in the route when flying into Vegas. It makes it very convenient for some morning hikes. And number two is that Vegas is still a new city, and we have to be very strategic with the development.
Oh my gosh. There's someone's lawn furniture.
If someone in my family or a friend had Alzheimer's, I would say nicotine, MCT, ketone diols, and now Cellbax. And that combination, along with probably some toxin binders to get down lipopolysaccharides like an activated charcoal and an increase in glutathione, would make them feel way, way better.
It feels like when we rent, we're wasting money though.
But it's not in the slightest. For anyone who's owned a house, you know the expenses that go into a house. It's not just the mortgage. It's the broken water heater. It's replacing your roof. It's the expenses that go into it. Like, you want to talk about throwing your money away. Try replacing the roof on a house that you own. That feels like throwing money away. My wife and I rented for years. And looking back, at the time and looking back, it was the best thing that we ever did. We rented for 10 years before we bought a house because we lived in 5 different cities and we could just easily just pack up and go, and we weren't tied to anything. We had flexibility. And it was pretty much the week that our son was born, when we had our first kid, that it was like a switch in my head. I was like, I need to go have my own house. Because the flexibility that I enjoyed when we were childless, it was the opposite. I was like, I value stability now. I want a stable house for my family. And it was like instantly that switched. And so that was not a financial decision of like, I need to go out and buy because I have some extra savings. It was like, I want my house. That's mine. And it's not, there's not going to be a landlord that sends me a letter and says, oh, sorry, you're evicted, or sorry, we're selling the building, you need to leave. This is my house. That was the shift for me.
Like, that's always their excuse is a water heater, a roof. I mean, how often does your roof go bad? My roof got messed up from a bad storm, right? Bad windstorm, I had to pay $1,000, right? But that's why you have an emergency fund, right? That $1,000 was, you know, it didn't hurt. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it didn't like, I ain't gonna be able to eat this, right? You got to have that emergency fund. You know, water heaters, electrical. That's why you get a home warranty, right? Pay for, I don't know how much, I forgot how much we paid for the year, but you know, it's $100. You pay $100, they come out and fix it. That's it, $100, right? So I think owning is 10 times better. I was in an apartment probably for like 7 years, y'all. I was by myself. You know, not everyone is like that, dude. But you see these real estate guys that rent houses out, preach, don't own a house, rent, because that's the business they're in. They don't want to tell people to own. When you have a kid, first thing he did, I need a house. Because guess what? That landlord, he can kick you out whenever he wants, right? You don't even have to wait for the contract to end. He wants to end that, he can end it. You know what I mean? So you got to be people. Some people just ain't wise. Like when he had a kid, he wisened up, but at the moment he wasn't wise, right? I was always ahead of my time, y'all.
We are paying more and getting less for every damn thing. These companies are trying their best to shit us over. I was just making a video the other day about Hot Pockets and how they ain't shit, and somebody told me to try pizza rolls. I'm like, you know what? I ain't had some in years. I had some pepperoni pizza rolls. It wasn't nothing but sauce in there. So now I'm a little curious. I done started doing some research, started doing a little digging, and I done went down the same rabbit hole the Looney Tunes was in. This is happening across the board for a lot of different companies. We all know about chips and how they're 60% air, but what about like Gatorade bottles going from 32 ounces to 28 ounces? What about the Febreze bottles going to a smaller size? What about washing powder being smaller sizes? What about the Hot Pockets being nothing but air? I can go on forever. And there's also the tactics that the dollar store uses, like giving you 4 rolls of toilet tissue for $3, but the 16-pack at Walmart is $9. They are giving us less and charging us more, all for the sake of profit. What are some different products you've seen lately that's went through shrinkflation? I know I'm probably only touching the tip of the iceberg.
Like, it's kind of funny that, you know, the more I think about it, like this whole 2020 thing, which was a leak from a lab, which that leak was man-made, maybe it was a big money grab. Everything went up, y'all. Everything went up and everything got smaller. Rent went up, gas went up, mortgage went up, interest rates went up, food went up. You want to buy some new shoes, that went up, new clothes went up, everything went up. And they're still blaming the pandemic for this reason why prices has gone up. Sometimes I just think, man, that was a big money grab for all these, you know, they needed a reset. And guess what? Things ain't going to go back down. You know, the interest rate might drop, but these houses ain't going to go back down to 190, under 200,000, 160 with a 2% interest rate. The gas ain't going to go back down to the $1.90. It might go from, you know, let's just say $3 right now to $2.20. But before all this happened, it was $1.90. I have pictures of $1.60 for gas in 2020 or 2019. But it's not going to go back to that. It was like a reset. So now, like, remember when our grandparents were young, gas was what, 50 cents a gallon? So it never goes back down to that. Something drastic happens where gas raises or house raises, it drops, but it becomes the new norm. Like, oh shit, I'm happy with $2 a gallon. But people don't remember that it used to be $1.60 a gallon. It used to be 50 cents a gallon. They got away with it, y'all. They'll get away with it. They'll bring back the lower prices, but they're never going to be, you know, Big Macs for $1. Remember those little blue coupons they had in you know, at places where they had on the counter, it was like a blue, you get a free key. They were like blue, right? You get a free Big Mac, buy one, get one free. Those days are gone. 99-cent Whoppers. Me and my brother-in-law used to drive far to go get that 99-cent Whoppers. When was the last time a Whopper was 99 cents? They don't do it no more, y'all.
About the mask too, though. jail really takes a toll on all of these guys. It takes a toll on everybody. And to be incarcerated for 3 years and just thrust it in front of a camera, like, a lot of times you're not the healthiest or whatever. Like, I mean, look, very extreme example, but Vibes Cartel for 13 years. He came out, nigga looked like he had a frog head. Found out he had Graves' disease. I think Thug is still acclimating to societies. I don't know if he had health problems or whatever, but we did see him gain some weight while he was locked up. Even his face started looking a little bit different while being in court, and really was just, it's a very different lifestyle. So I think once he gets back to the regular shit, I don't think he's going to be wearing a mask this whole time. I think this is probably just to be a little bit edgy.
Is he getting out?
Try to keep a little bit mystery because he hasn't really said much since his incarceration. And probably the fact that he was locked up, and who knows, nigga might have a skin condition or some shit like that. Like, what I've learned in this industry is, like, sometimes we overthink it.
$150.
Sometimes if a nigga's wearing a mask, nigga might just have, like, something going on, bro. Like, it's that simple. It's not like, oh my God, this guy's like, no, never usually that.
And the gaslighting begins. This is They're All in the Club Part 2. Can't even make this up. So royalty and Prince Andrew's ex Victoria comes out and says, when lies catch up to you, there's no way out. When lies catch up to you. Lies, huh? Kind of like how there were no cameras taking any video that one day. If y'all don't remember, a few months ago, I told you to keep your eyes on her because I just had a very unfortunate hunch. Because when people come out and they say things like this right here, and when they're connected with stuff right there, they're trying to let you know something. I have to blank out part of her face because this is when she was in the hospital here recently when a school bus apparently came at her. And would you believe me if I did not say it? The one calling her a liar, you can see her right here, and of course she's really tightly wound with the royalty. Do y'all not find it odd, the placement that he was given while being connected with this and what just happened right now? It's a club. This in itself is symbolism. And this is just a repeat of that. It's been going on forever. So give it a week and the same thing will happen.
So you see this fella right here, his name's Anton LaVey, and he was the founder and leader of the Church of Satan. And you know, on his deathbed, he had one of the craziest revelations.
And on his deathbed, he must have got some revelation or an angelic appearance or something. And he went into shock and he said, oh my, what have I done? He said, there's something very wrong. There's something very wrong. There's something very wrong.
Wow, so you're telling me that the leader of the Church of Satan on his deathbed actually said, what have I done? There's something very wrong. What have I done?
And his whole life had been spent organizations for Satanism. And then at the end of his life, he gets this light that comes to him. And everything that he built, he realized was...
Wow, so allegedly he did realize in the end that it was all wrong, what he was preaching. That's just... wow. Here's a little added bonus as well. Look at this lady here. Her name is Zena LaFay. And who does she remind you of? Would it be this lady over here, by any chance? But this is all just for entertainment purposes, obviously TikTok. Oh, and if you're not following me yet, you flipping should be. Come onto my page as well and tap this notification bell at the top, and then click all, so you don't miss none of my future uploads.
What are probably the most common conditions that you've seen the lion diet help people with?
I'm mostly seeing autoimmune disorders like arthritis and psychiatric illnesses. And I think people gravitate because of my experience with arthritis. So arthritis seems to respond really well. I've seen multiple sclerosis respond. I've seen most autoimmune disorders respond. But I would say most people come, some people are just, I mean, not that being overweight isn't a problem, but some people are just looking to lose weight.
Yeah.
And psychiatric issues are a big one, especially people who have been medicated with multiple medications and are trying to get off of them. And some of those people could probably do a ketogenic diet in general to do that, but the lion diet seems to make it a lot easier.
You find it in the Egyptians, you find it in the Middle East, in Iranian civilization, which is something I'm very familiar with. I wrote a whole tome on the history of Iran.
Yeah.
In ancient Iranian culture, they called this place Aryanam Vaeja, which means the seed cradle of the Aryans, meaning where the Aryan race came from. That's what they say.
Right.
And they say it was a place, this is a very interesting detail. So you have all these flood myths around the world.
Right.
And the flood myths are connected to the myth of the destruction of the super civilization in all these cultures, including Mayan culture, Egyptian culture. The one exception is Iran. where the Iran, we talked about this first interview. Iran, the name means Aryan. It's a Middle Persian form of the ancient Persian Aryan or Aryana. The Iranian ancient mythology is the only one that says the super civilization wasn't destroyed by a flood. It says our homeland froze. Our homeland was an island at the center of the world. It was the central continent of the world.
Hey, y'all, look at this fake ass bird, bro. This shit is not real. They're not even trying to make this shit look real no more. That bitch got the tag on the leg. How I'm getting this close to the bird? The bird look like plastic. This ain't no real bird, bro. This shit probably
getting
got
harassed.
cameras all in that bitch. This shit probably
Just trying to
standing out. It be fake as hell, bro.
A while back, News Nation reported a claim from a Pentagon whistleblower that back during World War II, Pope Pius XII tipped off the U.S. government about the recovery of a partially intact UFO that Benito Mussolini's Italian government had discovered. Beyond Catholics, if people start to realize that it's not an Adam and Eve story and it's not just Earth and there's a lot more to it, there goes religion.
The canonical, doctrine of many religions is very kind of set in stone. And so to go back and kind of rewrite history and to say, okay, well, perhaps not only we're not the only ones in the universe, but what if they don't look like us? Would that mean that people lose their faith? So all those questions is kind of what the theory is as to why perhaps they believe that either people are not ready for this or that they should indefinitely keep it covered up.
People are like, what do you think this administration, because every administration goes in, they go, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and they get maybe half of X.
Right.
I go, Trump and those guys want to clean out the intelligence community. They're not going to be able to do that fully. They won't. But you know who will really, I think, after 4 years, RFK will maybe get a warning label on the Uncrustable. That's like as far as that's gonna go. If you think
keep your fucking trembling hands off the fucking Uncrustable, you prick.
Skywatcher. I watched a video of theirs on YouTube.
Yeah,
I mean, it'll blow your mind. It's these military dudes that are their own private organization now, developed this technology that they call the dog whistle. Anytime they turn on the dog whistle, a UAP shows up.
It's like a calling beacon.
They have different classes of UAPs, and this is a little chart. So there's the Tetra, which is class 1, the Tic Tac class 2, Blob class 3, Beam class 4, Manta Ray class 5, Bright Star class 6, Jellyfish class 7, Hornet class 8, and then Egg class 9. It's always daylight too. They never summon them at night.
Even scarier.
Yeah, because they can better observe during the day.
So if the government's able to do that, there's no way they're not like saying, let's trap one.
That's not even the government. This is their own company.
That's what I'm saying, but like the government has this information.
Yeah.
They're definitely catching these things, tricking or trapping or something.
I saw this. I'm like, how is no one's talking about this? This video, they're literally like, turn on the dog whistle, and they're like, yeah, there's class 1.
Dude, I do not want to see
No
that
footage,
in real life.
though.
Like, I'm way more okay with it being spooky than real.
It's so strange though that like this frequency, they said they have 100% success rate of it. As soon as they turn it on, they will see a UAP.
Yeah, it's not like we just shot in the dark and they just show up every once in a while. Like this is a literal communication system.
Yeah.
Did y'all see what just happened in Iran? The timing is very coincidental. Now there's a story going with this whole thing, but I gotta tell you, I don't know, that was a huge blast. And there's like hundreds of people affected so far, people passing away. Like this right here is just absolutely insane. And I'm just wondering how long until we get the real story, especially with the relations of, certain countries involving this one right behind me, But I mean, things all over are just freaking weird. Anti-drone rifles deployed at that funeral, the Vatican and the other guy, the holy guy, their funeral, they had these things. Why? I mean, really, why? You remember that door that was recently opened and fast forward today, those Dior bags are back in the sky? I'm telling you guys, things are getting really, really freaking weird in 2025. I know I hadn't been posting that much lately, but I'll be back in full time tomorrow. But this guy right behind me, y'all, this guy is neither the Mahdi or the Antichrist. He's been making YouTube videos for years. And it's really weird, he always has that same hat on. But it has been getting weird because he's never talked about Jesus up until this last week. But that's not even the craziest part. What if I told you he was groomed and trained by 3-letter agencies in the United States? We got a lot to go over. We'll start getting back into it tomorrow.
Sent to you from Jesus Christ.
Christ, salam. Paul is false and led you astray. The church is corrupt.
Paul Walker. That's the story with him. They had old tires on that car.
I could have been in that car. I'd have crashed it. I can drive a bit. Anyone, you cannot. And that's that. If you get in these old cars with old tires on them, they have nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
It's incredible how much the technology has come along in that regard. How come no one can figure out how to make a tire without air?
It's a really, really interesting point. They must have done. It must, for me, it comes under the same heading as someone must have made a light bulb that you never need to replace. But why would they make it?
There's so many weird things when it comes to George H.W. Bush. Where was he on November 22nd, 1963? He doesn't even remember. He says he may have been in Houston, or he may have been in another town that was 100 miles away from Dallas. The name of that town escapes me, but he can't say for certain. Also, were you the one that brought up the Hinckley connection between the Bushes and David Hinckley?
Yeah.
Can you just quickly tell the audience about that?
Yeah, no, John Hinckley's brother was having dinner with a member of the Bush family, like the night before Reagan got shot by John Hinckley.
I'm walking down the street here, and I'm going by the General Electric Niagara Mohawk building, whatever it is, and check this shit out. Yeah. This is what's on the building. The power building. You have to be shitting me. Could it be more obvious what they're telling you? Right across the street, you've got talking cursive. And then right next to that, you've got Cafe Kubal. The Kubal, talking cursive. And then that. Good Jesus, Mary and Joseph, oh my God. Maybe I'm just reading the signs a little bit too much or overly perceptive. I don't think so.
They're trying to normalize not retiring.
Bull! As a teacher, you're not ready for retirement?
Make a difference in the lives of those who matter most, our seniors.
She's older than the patient.
If you have more to give and compassion in your heart,
Begin a new career as a visiting angels caregiver.
Apply today.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they're trying to normalize not retiring. Get out of here.
Previously?
I don't think a lot of these kids like my age and the generation under me are going to be able to retire, y'all. How? Especially, hopefully it doesn't happen, but what if they get rid of that Social Security? They're really not going to be able to retire, right? Student loan debt, car payments, credit card. Beyonce concert just started. I'm sure all those people are getting loans, because you know how much those damn tickets are? They're about $3,000, $800 for one ticket. Loans. They got loans to go to that music festival, that big one that just passed. Getting loans for Uber Eats and DoorDash. It's going to be interesting to see, y'all.
You being my visiting angel. Come on.
Dude, we got him. We got him, man. Look, I got some videos to show y'all. It's going to blow your mind. What on earth is this right here? Hold on. That ain't nothing, man. Explain this right here, man. Why is that plane making that little line? Why is that plane not? I'll wait. Now, hold on. If you look right here, there's another one that's making like a disappearing line. How is he doing that? What's he got, some kind of magic wand or something? I mean, really and truly. Hold on, got another one. This might be the one where they get hit by this plane, dude. I mean, really, hold on one second. I can't remember or not. Dude, this is wild. What on earth is that? Somebody tell me, what is that? What is it? Why? And you got homeboy right here, man. This plane flew over earlier. Look at that right there. Look how thin it was. You know what I'm saying? Then it's huge. Why does it do that? What causes that? It's all the questions we have, you know what I'm saying? Here it is right here. Look, same thing, disappearing. Why is that disappearing? Why is that not disappearing? Explain to me. I'll wait. Is it the altitude is what you're going to say? I'm sure that's what you're going to say.
You don't own anything? Like big assets. You don't own
no big assets. Exactly.
An island in Hawaii or no
land.
All that money he's making.
Real estate, nothing.
People can look into the work of Karl von Reichenbach. He was the one who actually did 5,000 experiments on sleepwalkers. And what he noticed was whenever the full moon would come, that people would start sleepwalking. And so what he did was he took them and he put them in like an all dark room, and he noticed that their sleepwalking resolved. Something was drawing them to the moon. If you get into the Ode energy or the Odic energy or the ether, the chi, the prana, the orgone, whatever word you want to call it. He also studied that when you put a person in pitch black, these same people who were sleepwalking would be able to see different colors if they were exposed to different metals which were hit by the sun or the moon. They would see what was called like a golden flame, and he called them the sensitives. So that's why he experimented on them, and they willingly did it because the families were trying to figure out, why is my child sleepwalking all the time? Copper, as we know, is you have the golden color right here. When it turns patina, the Statue of Liberty, it starts to turn green. When you put a sensitive or a sleepwalker in an all pitch black room and that sun or the moon would hit that copper, they would see a green flame. So then I started thinking, okay, this is like taking it to a whole nother level because you're seeing like the aura. And when the moon would crank up, because we all know when the full moon comes, you get a lot of energy, then these people would begin to sleepwalk.
Said when Chester died, he had told me that he had been around the Clintons so much that he was physically disgusted, that the guys in the band loved the Clintons, but he hated them. In fact, he said to her, "You'll be proud of me when I finish what it is that I've started. I'm undercover with my buddy Chris, and even though I can't tell you what I'm doing because you may lose your life, you'll be so proud of me."
This is what happens when a skinwalker forget it's your pet. Watch this. Dogs don't do this, y'all.
You guy, buddy.
This is not normal behavior.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
After watching this video, I was fully convinced skinwalkers were real.
You like Johnny?
Look at how weird he acts with the claws.
My goodness.
It forgot how to act like a dog.
Jade, it's your mom. You should come out. You've been there for so long.
This skinwalker was trying to lure this person out of their room. Don't go out. Do not go out.
Jade.
As always, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Stay weird.
And what's your name then?
I'm sorry, but I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but this gave me chills when I noticed it. He's got 3 hands. Have a look on his lap. Look at that. It's there.
HVAC, welding, electrical, carpentry, plumbing are dying career paths. If you look at the shortages out there, with HVAC techs, we need 42,000 HVAC techs every single year up to 2030. We need 80,000 electricians every single year up to 2030, and that's just to replace the electricians that are leaving the industry. We need 550,000 plumbers by 2030. We need 330,000 welders by 2029. There's 620,000 open jobs available in the manufacturing sector. These shortages, these numbers, they look bad, but there are statistics out there that trade school is up about 16%. Gen Z has been coined the tool belt generation, according to the Wall Street Journal. Even though that these statistics don't look as good, I am optimistic that the next generation is looking at college and looking at a trades path and making a decision that working with your hands is a good option. Let's make sure that the next generation is set up for success.
Look crazy. I mean, that's how all cities look, but, well, a lot of cities. Like the ocean.
Breaking news, an Uber Eats driver in Michigan took a wrong turn, ended up crossing a bridge that took him into Canada, and then he decided to come back so that he could finish his Uber Eats delivery. It was a simple mistake. He was stopped at the border, detained by ICE, and deported with no due process to the El Salvadorian slave labor camp known as CCOT. MAGA will defend this, I promise.
Most fucked up things that I've learned over time is that almost all truly exceptional and mentally strong people have been through hell. It's very few that put themselves through hell when life is great.
All right, family. There you have today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you made it this far, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Like I said earlier, my Rumble account, this video will be on Rumble. It'll be on YouTube too, but I'm trying to get 100 followers over there, so make sure you guys go follow over there. These videos, reels, are going to be on Instagram, going to be on Facebook, on X. Links to those will be down below. Go over there, follow, show some love. Y'all spread the word. I'm trying to grow it a little bit more, trying to get more active. I feel like I'm leaving a lot of potential with this content I'm putting out, so I'm going to try to start pushing out this content on all social media platforms. So all those links will be down below, and also on my Instagram. I'm gonna start posting, you guys seem to love when I post, on YouTube, my YouTube community page. You guys seem to love, when I'm out there doing the yard or cleaning the cars or something with the baby. Like, you guys love that. So I'm gonna start posting a lot more of that stuff, my runs, my hikes, over on Instagram, on my stories and all that. And I'll try to get active on X and Facebook. I don't know a lot about it, but I'll try to get active over there, y'all. I know everyone's got a Facebook. Not everyone on here's got an Instagram, but a lot of you guys got a Facebook. So be sure to go over there. Link will be down below. So make sure you guys go over there, follow, and say what's up. But this is Segovia, y'all. I'm signing out of the Man Cave. I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow on the next one. We got a long upload today, an hour and 15 minutes, y'all. We're banging one out together. Thank you guys for the time you shared with me. This is Segovia signing out of the Man Cave. I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.